Hello everybody, this is Oak Tree Tarot Reader here and welcome to my pick a card video. My most popular video so far as to recording of this video has been how others see you as a woman. So I'm going to be doing another one of those videos today. What I want to say first though is that actually it doesn't really matter how other people view you as a woman. What really matters is how you view yourself. Because there's always going to be some people that don't like the way you do things, but it doesn't mean that you have to change who you are and comply with their desires and their will. Of course, we have to consider other people in the way that we act out our lives. I mean, you can't be overly selfish, you can't be very rude and have a deep sense of entitlement that basically alienates everyone around you. It's always better to be a decent person that has consideration for other people's lives and their obligations and duties. You know, it's not all about us as an individual. But it is useful in a way to sort of have an idea of, oh, this is how I'm perceived. But I am going to add on that this is for entertainment purposes only. I don't want you to take it too seriously. It's not meant as an in-depth character profile by any means, and I wouldn't turn to tarot for that kind of business anyway. You're better off going to a psychiatrist or other, you know, someone else like a psychologist if you're really looking for that kind of analysis. Really, my attitude towards tarot is that it's a tool to focus you on the things that you should be focusing on, and then you can make a decision based on that. So if there's anything in any of these readings that you don't like and you think, well, I don't want to be like that, it makes sense and I want to move away from that, you can. You can change yourself and be a better person and develop your personality and skills and life without causing chaos in other people's lives and without having them cause chaos in yours by trying to prevent that. You know, to your own self be true. Always remember that. So what we're going to be looking at is overall how you are viewed by other people generally. Perhaps the things that aren't serving you very well at the moment. Maybe this is an attitude that you have, something in your personality that's just not serving you, that's holding you back in some way, and that you might want to have a think about changing if you feel you want to. And then finally we'll be looking at what's really working for you as a woman, what's really, you know, to be celebrated about you. So if you do want a private reading with me, you know, based on removing blockages in your career, removing blockages in your love life, or gaining a bit of clarity or insight into those things, or any area of your life where you feel that you are not progressing as you would like, then you can email me on oaktreetarotreader@gmail.com. and I will get back to you on what I charge for a private reading and sort of framing the best question to suit your situation. Okay, but otherwise we shall be moving on. And what I've done is we've got option 1, which is the set on the left. We have option 2, this is the set in the middle. And we have option 3, which are the set on the far right. Okay, so what I want you to do is to feel relaxed and calm, and even close your eyes and make your choice between the 3. I want you to trust your first instinct, to please not overthink it and doubt yourself, to just go with the first set that attracts you. If you need a bit more time, then please press pause. I will put the timestamps in the description box below, along with my email address if you want a private reading, and also an Instagram I've started where I'm just doing a couple of cards for a daily tarot reading. If you want to follow me, you can on there. Because otherwise now I am going to be moving on to reading 1. All right, ladies that have chose option 1. These 2 cards are how you are seen generally by the people around you as a woman. This is just sort of, these aren't the nearest and dearest. These aren't the people that have known you forever, that you went to school with and so on and so forth. These are just people that generally you work with, that you socialise with in a bit, and they just maybe have known you even for a few years. It's just the most predominant aspects of your character as a woman. Ooh, and we have White Buffalo Woman, peace. And we have Aphrodite, self-love. Oh, I like this. Okay then, so let's even that up a bit. You're a peacekeeper. White Buffalo Woman from the Lakota tribe. She was sort of a guide to them when they moved to a particular area in America. She was there, like the goddess that taught them how to live off the land and brought peace to them. So I think that in many ways you're perhaps a teacher or very free with your experience and your wisdom, that people can come to you and say, oh, how do you do that? Can you help me fix this? And you will. You know, and it could be just small helpful tips on like cooking a meal, or it could be more in depth in terms of your employment, that's your job. You know, that you offer advice in some way or instruction, and sort of keep things going calm, because you're a bit, you know, a problem solver perhaps. And we also have Aphrodite, which is lovely because that's self-love. So you love yourself, you know your own true worth, you're not afraid to be yourself, and when you look in the mirror you're happy with what you see, and it doesn't matter if you're stunningly beautiful that day and your hair and makeup are perfect. You look in the mirror and you're like, yeah, I love myself, I'm happy. And I mean, that is the greatest gift ever. If deep down you don't necessarily feel that way, you come across in this way, and you just come across as somebody that won't be knocked down by bad comments. You know, a compliment will make you smile, but you deep down you don't need compliments, because you're confident in yourself, and you have this self-appreciation, that you accept yourself for the way that you are, and that people see you as attractive because of that self-confidence. You know, that you're happy with yourself, whatever your looks are and whatever your appearance is and whatever fashion choices you might make, you are happy overall with how you appear to others, and that's what they feel when other people see you. I will also say that tonally these pictures are very similar. We've got these lovely creams, and we've got sort of the blue and the lilacs, and you know, all that. So I think you're a very chill person, that you're very calm and relaxed and sort of don't get fazed by an awful lot. And that's because you have this inner assurance, or at least I hope you do, that you feel this way inside yourself as well as expressing it out. Yeah, really calm, chill energy with those cards. So next we have the slightly unpleasant cards that are never nice to tell about. I'm just going to make a bit more space. And these are the cards represent the things that aren't serving you very well. They might be something that's fundamental in your character, or just something that's going on in your life at the moment. And you might think, well, actually, yeah, maybe I'll do a bit of work on that. I mean, ultimately, you have to decide what you're going to do about yourself. You know, you're the one that lives with the consequences, so don't make any changes that you're unsure of. Oh, we have Boudica, which is unity, and Oya, which is power. Oya, power, and Boudica, unity. That's interesting. Okay, so I think that in some way, because of this sense of peacekeeping and whatever, that maybe you're trying to make a unity. I mean, Boudica is an ancient British woman. She's not a goddess, she's a real person, historical person, that when the Romans were invading Britain, her husband was killed and the Romans decided they would take the land, and she, you know, at that point in Celtic British history, she could be the ruler, and the Romans were like, no, you're a woman, you can't, it's ours now, according to the terms of agreement with your husband. So she unified the other Celtic tribes in England, and caused a real impact in the Romans. I mean, ultimately the Romans beat, so they were the great war machine, but she really gave them a run for their money, but importantly unified the Celtic tribes, and that's what this card represents. So in some way you're trying to unify something. Either it's something within you as an individual, and you will know what that is, that you're trying to bind lots of different aspects of your life maybe, or your personality together, Or maybe in your outer world you're trying to create peace with the people around you, maybe create a good working team in your employment, or get a family back together, like get people together that haven't seen each other in a long time, or maybe you've all had a big fight or something, but you're trying to unify something. And you also have power, or she's power, which is she's I think she's African. I've completely forgotten where she comes from, but she's a storm goddess. She's the wife of a storm god, and so she represents sort of raw weather and raw power in weather. And in some way, what's not serving you is your immense determination to change something, and possibly it's connected to this unity, because storms knock down trees, they cause new rivers, and to dramatically change the landscape, they literally destroy things, and so you have to rebuild them. So in some way, this intense desire to maybe rebuild something or uproot it, or even in some cases for some of you, a destruction of something, isn't serving you. And that can be the destruction of a relationship, or because as the Unity card, it could be the destruction of being single and you want to unify with someone, but the way you're going about it maybe isn't suiting you, isn't helping you, or maybe the unification itself. You might be going at something with great energy in order to make something work, but it's just not happening in some way. And it's either the way that you're doing it or what you're trying to do yourself. But I have every confidence you will find a way through it, because White Buffalo Woman was a problem solver, and problem solvers solve problems, even their own, although it can be harder than solving other people's problems, of course. But yeah, so you've got to be aware of something, it's not serving you, or you're not really expressing your power because you don't want to rock the boat, that you're repressing this power within yourself, that you're constantly, you're not unifying your desires with how you want to present yourself to the external world. You're not expressing the extreme, immense wonder of you as a woman, where you can knock people over. You've got this sort of inner confidence, but how are you expressing it fully? Are you expressing all aspects of that? That you're not really, what is that? I am woman, hear me roar. Are you roaring, or are you being too quiet to keep the peace, softly spoken? And you're just not unifying all aspects of your individual self into the whole being that you are. Yeah, some of you are just resisting that unification of yourself, that you don't want to cause any trouble because of your immense power. This could be your emotions, that your immense emotions are all over the place, or even focused on something that you're angry about and you want to let loose. And you want to fight like Boudica, but you're not. You're not going, let me just, she's on her own and she's attacking all these Romans. Is that something that you should be doing, and you're not, because you want to keep this peace? But don't forget, these are powerful women, and you are too. So however that, I feel there's a lot of meaning in those two cards, so you need to consider how that resonates with you before you consider doing anything at all. There's no point causing extra chaos in your life. You can change things for the better and get what you want without causing immense trouble. So these two are the things that are serving you very well as a woman, and they might hopefully aid in this what's not working well for you. So make sure we can see all the cards. We have Sirens, which is temptation. Yeah. And we also have Morgan Le Fay, which is magic. Okay. So Sirens, temptation, Morgan Le Fay, magic. I mean, this doesn't mean necessarily that you're completely tempting, but of course I'm sure you are a very tempting lady, but it's about the things that we want, but we think they're going to do us, not be very good for us. Like we want chocolate, but deep down we know it's not good for us to eat a big bar of chocolate. But ultimately, when you give in and you have that bar of chocolate, oh, it is lovely. So I think you can indulge in the things that seem a little bit naughty but bring you pleasure. You know, and if we're talking about in relation to other people, that you know that you could be, you know, come across as maybe a bit naughty, you know, a bit cheeky, or a bit of a charmer, you know, a bit of, you know, flirty charmer, but overall it's just a temptation. I think that you're really in touch with having the things that you want, and perhaps not necessarily feeling too guilty about it. You know, as long as you don't indulge too much, a little treat every now and then does you good. We can't live our lives eating salad leaves and nuts all the time. Sometimes we do need to just think, oh, I've got to have a burger. And psychologically, you know, like a cheat day does you good. You know, having a day, oh, I'm just going to eat what you like it. You know, it does psychologically do you a lot of good. And as long as you don't gorge yourself on your cheat day and just sort of wipe out all the hard work, you know, it's not bad. And we also have Morgan Le Fay, which is about ultimately good intentions. This card, it's the magic within you, the you know, the ability to manifest and create, because she does create magic, but also about going out and doing these things for the right reasons. And you have that because you've got the white buffalo woman of peace. You know, and also this Siren's temptation is connected to this Aphrodite self-love, because Aphrodite didn't really deny herself the things that she ultimately wanted. And I feel that because this is serving you, you're not taking it too far where you're indulging in unhealthy behaviours. So the Morgan Le Fay magic, it is about being your unique self and speaking your truth, and also being honest as a person. I don't think that you're someone that would particularly be interested in lying to anyone. I think you recognise there's no benefit to that, which is why it's interesting that we've got this sort of power and unity not serving you very well. But yeah, I think overall you are a great person, but I think sometimes you create maybe a conflict within yourself about what you want and what you think's right for others, and what you should be with others. For some of you might feel that conflict, which you shouldn't, because you can have what you want and be who you want, and other people can deal with that and still have what they want. You know, everybody can be happy as long as compromises are made. And I think that overall that you perhaps come across as someone that's willing to make compromises, and if you are unwilling to make compromises, this is what you need to work on. You need to be able to love yourself but also love others. Yeah, but I think that's really, you know, that you are a magical lady, and that you are confident in yourself, and that's good. And you need to still, you know, praise up and embrace, you know, this idea a lot with the magic and enjoying things, not taking them too far, but you are, you know, if the temptation is to sit there and watch Netflix with a bit of an unhealthy snack, you know, a couple of times a month or once a month or something, you do it, enjoy it. And the magic within you, you're aware of the magic within you and you express it. So good for you. Good for you. I hope this reading has resonated with you, made some sort of sense. You can leave me a comment in the section if you so desire, but please take very good care of yourself, and thank you very much for listening. Bye. Right, everybody, welcome back to reading 2. These 2 are the cards of generally how other people see you. This is more likely to be just acquaintances and people that you work with, not really necessarily your family or close friends, or, you know, the people that have known you for years. And this is just generally how they see you. You might not feel that this is an accurate representation of you, and remember to not take it too seriously. You know, you don't actually have to do anything about these opinions of you. You know, you're the one that has to live with the consequences of the decisions you make. So you could just say, well, get lost then. I am who I am, and tough luck for you. But overall, they like you, so don't worry, because we have Yemaya, which is hope. She's an African water river goddess. And Exchel, which is release. I hope I'm saying these right, by the way. So overall, that you come across as quite hopeful and positive and fruitful and fertile, and you know, rivers are full of fish and plants and life, and you know, and that's why it gives us hope that there's, you know, water to drink, food to eat. It nourishes us, and water obviously in tarot represents emotions. So I think you do come across as a very positive lady that gives hope and is also full of hope and positivity about the future. I think if anyone comes to you and says, oh, it's going terribly, I think you will come across and say, oh, don't worry, everything will pick up. You know, this is just a bad day, but tomorrow will be better. And it's about feeling hopeful. And, you know, when you know, like this card comes up in a tarot reading, the message is to remain hopeful that the future will be better. It doesn't mean that you don't have to work for it. You know, it's not going to be slapped into our laps from up high. It is something that you need to move towards and work towards in your own unique way. And I think that overall, everybody thinks that you do that. And we have exhale, which is release. And so, I mean, you release the things that don't do you any good anymore. Negative feelings. A lot of you will not bear a grudge. That you're like, okay, I've said my piece and I'm going to let it go. I don't think that you dwell on things for months on end and sort of foster negative feelings. You just say, okay, that's it. You know, you're not going to be a pushover, but you're going to be there and say, okay, right, yeah, no, not bothering anymore. And so you can walk away from things. And it's also about you have the ability, if you know that you've sort of stumbled into unhealthy behaviours, like you've begun to eat the wrong foods, or that even some of you started to hang around with the wrong kind of people, and started to change your opinions, and you sort of not being the best person you can be, you sort of can look and say, oh, I've got to change. I've got to change, you know, I've got to start trying to be healthier. I've got to start maybe going back to my other friends and not, you know, around these people. Or if you are in a job and you realise that you've outgrown it and you've got nowhere to progress and you're not going to get the promotion you want, or that, you know, that you will move on. You'll say, okay, I've had a great time here, but it's time to move on. You release that which no longer serves you, and that's good, and you come across to everybody else as that. So hopefully that's how you feel inside. Now we have the cards that no one ever likes to hear, which is the two things that you could perhaps think about working on that aren't really serving you very well as a woman. Now this might be something that you recognise as a fundamental part of your character, or something that's only just happening in your life at the moment of you watching the video. But just remember that it doesn't mean that you're a bad person or that you are acting in a bad way. It's just that maybe you're too far into these energies and it's just not helping you in life. But ultimately, if you want to stay this way, stay this way. It's your life and you've got to live it. So you make the decisions. Ooh. Esther, new beginnings. Bridget, healing. Okay, so I think you're resisting change on some level, or you do it anyway, that you really resist change. I think that maybe something's over in your life. Maybe you've come to the end of a relationship or a job situation, or that you've come to the end of a cycle in your life, like you're leaving school, or it's time to move house, like and you like this house but you can't, you know, stay there anymore. And we also have Bridget, which is healing. So I think you're fighting healing, which is sort of letting something go. Yeah, I think you're resisting it. I think you're really resisting some sort of change in your life, or overall you resist it generally, that you don't like change, and you know, regardless. And I find it so interesting because we've got exhale, which is release, which is how people see you, but what's not serving you well is, you know, creativity and healing. Bridget is an Irish goddess representing creativity and healing, and that's what's not serving you. So I think that you're not doing it. So regardless of other people seeing you in that way, I think deep down you're not feeling that way inside, or you're not really embracing that. So you might be saying to people, I'm hopeful for the future and I'm letting go, but actually maybe you're not. Maybe you're clinging on to something from the past, and it's time to let it go, and you can't, you're struggling. If that's true and you're struggling, you can open up to the people around you and talk to them about it, the people that love and support you. And if you feel that you can't, there will be other people that you can turn to, various charities probably in your current country, or doctors and therapists, and you should turn to those. If you're finding this is a real struggle in your life, don't be ashamed of that or afraid of it, because you're resisting some sort of healing and you need to heal over something. Something maybe from your deep past, far back as your childhood for some of you, and others it's more recently. But yeah, you're not embracing the new you that's on offer due to healing. Right, so now we look at the 2 cards that are serving you well. And we have Persephone, which is cycles, and Katesh, which is pleasure. So Persephone, what's good about you, and which is interesting from my point of view, is that you acknowledge the cycles of life and of your own nature. I mean, as women, we're very familiar with cycles because we have a monthly cycle, and quite a few of us are really hormonal, and so you suffer from the ebb and flow of our menstrual cycle and your period. But I think you really do acknowledge that there are natural cycles to life. We start off as babies, we become children, then teenagers, then young adults, and then middle-aged, and then old. And I think you acknowledge that, and I think you acknowledge the cycles of your life. So it's really interesting that what is not serving you is new beginnings. So I wonder, actually, for some of you, maybe you're on a cycle of new beginnings, maybe. But then why would it be a good thing? I don't know. I'm a bit confused about that. That's interesting from my point of view. That in essence, the thing that's not serving you and the thing that is serving you is the same thing, but from a different perspective. So maybe you're able to cope with changes generally in life that are meant to happen, natural cycles of life, because it's Persephone and she was the daughter of Ceres and was all about nature and spring and summer, and then when she goes back to Hades in the underworld, it's autumn and winter. So maybe you can accept the natural cycle of things and you deal with them in a very good way when you acknowledge that things come to a natural end. But maybe for some of you, whatever's happening isn't a natural end, and that's what you're struggling with, that you feel there's an unjustness somewhere. So you need to draw on that sense of that things will change and move around, and that it's cyclical nature, it's a cycle, and that basically it will come back to you. Whatever you feel you've lost, the cycle of things, the wheel of fortune, it will come back to you in some form. Yes, of course it's not going to be exactly the same, nothing ever is, but you will get a return of something, another chance. And we also have Katesh, and this is about pleasure. So I think that you're very much in touch with your sensual pleasures. For some of you, this is about sex, that you enjoy sex. I mean, she's just a sexy lady, but don't be deceived into thinking that, it's all sexual pleasure. It's about sensual pleasure, which actually is different, really, for most of us. Yes, sex can be sensual, but this is about your individual as a woman's sensuality and finding pleasure in tangible things. It could be just enjoying a lovely long bubble bath, and it can be eating some gorgeous food and doing things that make you feel sexy and attractive, but just taking joy in tangible sensual things. For some of you, it's like taking great pleasure in painting your fingernails, or getting your hair cut and brushing your hair and taking care of yourself. And others it's eating chocolate, or you know, eating some food and you just think, oh, this is great. You know, you really enjoy it. And it just brings you it makes you feel really good. It brings you pleasure. So I think you're in touch with what makes you happy. And by extension, probably that which doesn't make you happy. So you should tap into that. And maybe that can offer you release and healing. You know, because it's about letting go of sort of worries and concerns, you know, like when you get into the bath, you know, especially if you're like a mom, you've got husbands and whatever, that you have to say, right, I am going to have a nice long bubble bath. I'm getting in there, I'm staying in there for an hour with a face mask on and some hair treatment that I've got to leave on, and I've got my book that I've been dying to start for the past month. Or whatever, and I'm going in there, I'm locking the door, and none of you will disturb me. There will be not a single knock on the door while I'm in that bath. So if you want to use the toilet, go now. You know, that kind of thing where it's just, you know, you say, I'm letting go of my responsibilities for the next hour, and I'm enjoying something that I really enjoy. And for some of you, that's reading a book, listening to music, watching a film. And for others of you, it's, you know, could be going out with your friends or, as I say, eating nice foods or baking it. You know, go away and leave me alone to enjoy what I'm enjoying. And you can do that, and I think you've realised the importance of it, and that's good. That's good. So I feel that's all I've got for your reading. Yeah, I feel we've got a lot covered. Remember, you can do things as you see fit in your life. So when you're ready to heal from something and start anew, you can do that. But it's important to feel ready and to let go of any inner resistance to change. Yeah. Well, I wish you all the best of luck. Take very good care of yourself, and thank you very much for listening. Bye. All right, this is reading 3. What I have here are the 2 cards that represent how other people generally see you. This is probably not likely to be the people that know you very, very well. This is sort of really sort of general, like workers, co-workers, people that you just sort of hang around socially with but only meet up like once a month or something, you know, that just sort of they know you but don't know you. And remember, it might not connect with how you see yourself because this is how they see you, and it doesn't mean that this is a true reflection of your character. In case, you know, you look at it and think, oh, I don't like the sound of that. And remember, there are a lot of people that know you, and so not everybody's opinion is going to be the same. Ooh, oh, I don't think you're going to be upset. Artemis, individuation, which is individuality, and Jeanne d'Arc, which is faith. Okay, make sure you can still see those. You're just a true individual. Yeah, and you're strong-willed. Yeah. All right, let's start off with Artemis, twin sister of Apollo, goddess of the hunt, daughter of Zeus. She was just a true individual, and she was sort of born dramatically. Her mother was chased away by Hera and forced onto this particular island so she could give birth, and they were born fully formed or something like that. But anyway, she went to her father and said, I do not want to marry. I want to remain an independent woman, and by extension, for those times, to remain a virgin and to never be beholden to any man, and I want to just hunt and do all my things. And so he said yes. So what this represents is not about giving up on men, although statistically some of the women watching this video will have given up on men and either just don't want anyone and want to be single, or that you are gay, that you're a lesbian, you know, whatever. But you're not afraid to be yourself. You know, that's what it generally means, whatever your sexuality is. You're not afraid to be yourself. Be your unique individual self. So for others of you, this is about the clothes that you wear, that maybe you wear a distinct fashion, or you hold distinct views and opinions, and you're not afraid to stand up for them. You know, maybe you stand out from the crowd because of that individuality. And you really aren't afraid to stand up for what you believe in. You'll fight to the death for what you believe in. This is Joan of Arc, and she had faith. And so I think that there are things that you truly believe in, and and you will stand by them. I mean, I think it probably takes a lot of fresh new information for you to change your opinion on something. Make sure that doesn't turn you into too far into stubbornness, because you know, opinions do change as you get fresh information, that you discover that that information was kept from you. You know, when you make a decision, like, you know, when you sign a contract and you read the fine print and you discover that, you know, sometimes it's not worth the paper you printed on, and the insurance you pay for isn't worth anything, you know. But I think generally, you know, you have your faith, you have the things you believe in, and that you're loyal and steadfast, and that you, you know, these combinations remind me of activists, that, you know, you're sort of a social activist, right? And you're not afraid to stand up for what you believe in, and your individualism in some way. And that's how people see you. They see you as somebody who's unique, distinct, and who will vocalise and stand up for what she believes in, and has faith in something, strong faith. And it doesn't have to be a religious faith, it can be anything, and it doesn't have to be a social faith like a political affiliation, although for some of you it will be. It can be a faith in your own abilities to do something, and a faith that you can achieve anything that you want to achieve. So I mean, that's good. I would be pleased if someone saw me in that way. But now on to the slightly more unpleasant part, which is the things that aren't working for you at the moment. They're not serving you, they're not helping you in any way. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person or that you shouldn't have these qualities, but that maybe at this time they're just not helping you, and that maybe you could tone them down or rethink your approach due to what I say. But ultimately the decision lies with you, because you're the one in charge of your life and has to live it. So don't change anything you don't feel the need to change. Sorry, I just had to get a sip of water. Okay, so we have Valkyries, which is redemption. Sekhmet, which is reduction. Okay. Essentially they mean the same thing. Valkyries, of course, Norse mythology, they came and they retrieved the dead from the battlefield and took them up to all right, I'm sorry about that. Somebody came and knocked on the door, so I had to press pause, and then I managed to judder my camera, so if it doesn't look quite right, it's because I managed to knock the camera over. That's annoying. That's the thing when you do these videos, you never know who's going to come and knock on the door and disrupt the recording. But anyway, I remember that I was talking about Valkyries and redemption. So in some way, what's not serving you is this idea of being reborn again. Because the Valkyries, when they took the dead warriors up to Valhalla, they were taking them off to a new life, and I think that's what you're resisting in some way. Something, you know, this is quite similar to option 2 that I had, where there's a resistance to change or resistance to embracing a new life. Maybe something's challenged this sense of faith and individualism. Maybe you're presented with an opportunity of literal redemption for some of you, that you're ready to yeah, I think that you're just not ready maybe to move on from something. You know, you're this warrior, and that you're not ready to let go and move on to the Valhalla, to the great hall where you can drink and eat and sleep with women, which maybe is what you're interested in. But there's definitely a resistance to some sort of moving on to the next stage in your life, because I've also got reduction, the second, that is about letting go of the things that no longer serve you, that aren't doing you any good anymore. This can be old attitudes and ideas, and remember Joan of Arc was deeply committed to her faith and her ideas about France, and she went to war with the British over it, and she died for it ultimately. But you're not letting go of something that you need to let go of. Now that could be anything. It really could. It could be an attitude. It could be a mindset that you've developed, where you won't be swayed from it. It could be that you won't let go of a particular situation you're in, like a job that you want to make sure you keep, even though maybe it's not the best job for you. Or for some of you, that will be a relationship. But I generally feel it's something within you that you're not letting go of. It might be a desire, might be a wish, it might be an ambition. Maybe your ambitions are changing and you're so wedded into this individuality and this sort of sense of dedication and commitment to you as an individual or your cause, and now you're getting a different signal that maybe it's time to move on from that and progress into something new, and maybe you feel disloyal, that you're being disloyal to whatever this identity represents. But you're definitely clinging on to something, definitely clinging on, some of you watching this video, that you're not willing to let go of it. But it's time for you to let go, because the world never asks you to let go of things that you need. You know, if it's doing you good, you're not expected to let go of it. You know, you need to let go of things that you've outgrown, situations that you've outgrown, scenarios that you've outgrown. And sometimes, unfortunately for some people that they've outgrown. You know, when you leave school and then you go to college and university and you find that your old school friends you leave behind and you meet up with them, and it just feels different because you've progressed and so have they. And although you've still got that friendship there, that you've both grown up and away from each other. And I wonder whether some of you are in that situation and you're finding it traumatic and upsetting. So that's what's not serving you. And what I would say is, if that's true and you feel that that's true, that you're not ready to let go of something, then that's fine. Because if you're just aware that it's something you need to let go of, that's the majority of the battle. And if you need a bit of time to get yourself in a position that you can move into the Valkyrie and go with the Valkyrie and move on to the new life, whatever it is, and let go of the thing you need to let go of that's holding you back, you will do it. And everybody needs more, you know, different levels of time. Some of it, people can do it in a few weeks, some in a few months, and some of us need years. Some people need years to do these things. So you need to take the time you need to take, and do it when you feel ready, when your instincts tell you to. But here we're going to move on to the things that are serving you, that really are good about you as a woman. I don't know where I am now. My camera being nudged. I think it's all screwed up. Okay, so Hera, commitment, and Helen of Troy, beauty. So I like that. That's nice. Yeah. I mean, they echo the two cards of faith and individuality. Because Hera, commitment, Hera, the wife of Zeus. I mean, he cheated on her. He wasn't a good one. So I'm hoping that your marriage or relationships are good. And ultimately that sense of betrayal and hurt made her petty. She was very jealous and spiteful. And I would say that you're not like that. And please try not to be like that. But that you are committed. And that comes through in the faith with Joan of Arc. That you are committed to things, you are loyal and faithful, regardless of perhaps what other people do to you. You know, sometimes, like, there's this phrase, loyal to a fault. Well, don't be loyal to a fault. Be loyal to the point that it doesn't hurt you. And once it starts hurting you and it's not doing you any good, or even the people around you any good, it's time to ease back and start offering a bit of tough love instead. You know, don't be loyal to a fault. But some of you, you know, it's your loyalty and commitment to something. When you commit, you commit. And you do your best for it. And there's also, Hera was a mother, and there is an element of nurturing in that. But overall, it's your drive and commitment. And I think to the people around you and the things that you believe in. We have Helen of Troy, which is such a lovely card, and it represents beauty. And I am absolutely positive that you're all very, very beautiful women. But this card does not refer to external beauty, but inner beauty. And so what's really working for you is that you know yourself. You're true to yourself. Helen of Troy was a multi-talented woman. She was fit, athletic, she was skilled in, you know, because she was a Spartan, and they allowed their women to learn like the martial arts, I suppose, but it wouldn't have been that. But, you know, like she knew how to fight with a sword and be strong and vibrant, and she knew her own power, and she knew what she could do. She knew she had many talents, and I think you know that. You're individual, and again there's that reinforcement of being physical. So I think some of you are content with your own physical power. I know we're not talking about external beauty, but it's about being confident in your own skin and pleased with who you are, and self-confident. And it really is about allowing your inner beauty to shine out, and like there's that commitment. So I think you're overly quite a nice person to be around, and that people are like, oh great, so and so's here. And that's really working for you, because I think you're a good friend, and I think you're a very talented woman. Yeah, there's something else about this card, and I'm trying to tap into it and I'm struggling, but it's about being self-confident, self-love, knowing your own worth. Oh, and that's it, that's what I'm trying to go. When you're down and she's like tied up, and she's been taken prisoner, like 2 different men on different occasions in her life kidnapped her, she still is defiant and beautiful in her own self. She doesn't allow it to destroy her. The restrictions upon her, she doesn't allow them to destroy who she is as a woman, and neither do you, and that's really good. So whatever this is, don't be afraid of it, because you've still got all these excellent qualities that will see you through in life. So I hope you found that interesting, and that it's been an entertainment of some sort. I wish you all the best of luck. Take very good care of yourself, and goodbye.